The time has finally come where Coronation Street didn't just drop to second place, but actually dropped to third place in my soap opera rankings. This is only the second time in 9 months that Coronation Street is not number one in my rankings, and this is the lowest it has dropped. And that is mostly because the big storyline that's been going on for over a year, and it's been a very good character-driven story that I've loved, that I thought was very well written, and it's why I've been giving Coronation Street number ones all the time. But that story came to an end, and it kind of came to an end in a way I didn't exactly enjoy, that being Imran's death, which to me feels like a cop-out on the story after they kind of made Imran a bit of a villain his last few months on the show, desperate to have his child and desperate to have it away from Abby because he thought Abby was still doing drugs. And he had a reason to think that because Abby's history isn't good. But what happened was he finally told Toya the truth of the bad things he had done lately. And it seemed as though we never clearly got to see it happen, but Toya may have purposefully drove the car that they were in into the scaffolding. Imran was able to get out of the car and save Toya before the scaffolding fell on the car, but then Imran died. And the death itself was also kind of underwhelming, another part I didn't quite enjoy. Now, of course, Kevin was questioned because he had messed with the car for Abby's sake to keep Toya and Imran from leaving with baby Alfie, but they were quickly proven to be innocent by the police. But since Toya can't exactly remember exactly what happened, the cops seem to think that she purposefully drove into the scaffolding to try and kill both of them, maybe Toya and Imran, because Toya was about to lose everything again thanks to Imran. Toya, who's been desperate to have a child, now the child, Alfie, will probably be with Abby. Both Abby and Alfie will stay in a foster home for Abby to eventually be able to prove herself as a mother and that she's no longer using. And so that kind of brings an end to this big story that's had many different stages to follow the characters throughout all of this, from Seb's death all the way to now. I still think it was a great story. I don't know if this last chapter was as good, sadly. And what this does is it leaves Coronation Street without a big story for me to continue to give it such high ratings. It was really the first half of June as to why Corrie fell to third place and not just second. And if it wouldn't have improved the last half of the month, it could have fell further in my rankings, to be honest, because the whole Summer story, they've made Summer so obnoxious. We get it. She's dealing with her diabetes and she's not dealing with it well. I don't know why they have to make Summer so annoying about everything. First, they have her so obsessed with getting into Oxford that she cheats on her test, and Adi ends up getting blamed for it because some cheat cards are found on the floor and he's blamed for it, and Summer doesn't immediately plead guilty to it. They're both questioned until she eventually comes clean, and then suddenly Summer doesn't want to go to university anymore. So I don't know what they want us to get from the character of Summer, but they just continue to make her annoying and starting to make her be all over the place. The way she treats Adi is not something enjoyable, and I just don't know where they're going with the Summer story because it's not working. But they did start to turn things around the second half of June for me with, Max is kind of being blackmailed because he has this crush on a girl at school. And I think this is their way of already trying to redeem Max. Maybe Max has become this delinquent individual over the past year. But maybe this is them trying to redeem him. So he thinks he's talking to this girl the whole time and ends up sending the girl a dick pic, only to be blackmailed about the dick pic, about some of his mates at school. His mates end up catfishing him and trying to blackmail him for $1,000, or they will send his dick pic everywhere. Everyone will see it. They even try to make him get on his knees to beg not to upload it. He's had enough and gets ready to fight them, but ends up accidentally hitting Shona during all of this scuffle. The storyline had its entertaining points. I don't completely know how I feel about them trying to redeem Max already, and if that's even going to be possible right now, but the story still worked for me, and it was at least entertaining. Better than the summer storyline, that's for sure. We also are getting, I talked about it a little bit in the last video, I think, with Peter trying to get revenge on the Dr. Thorne guy who rushes surgeries and doesn't do a very good job, and placed a bet that he could finish Peter's surgery quickly, and did. But then Simon ends up kind of ruining Peter's plan for revenge, deleting the evidence, and then Peter attacks Thorne physically. I guess this is to kind of throw a rift between Simon and Peter. I think Thorne could be a good villain, but I don't know if this is being built up well either. I'm starting to see Coronation Street needs to do better at building these other stories. They had this great story play out for over a year. That was great story and great writing. And I've been talking about this the whole time too. Beyond that story, though, the rest of the show never really truly had good vision for the other stories on the show. So now we're left with a bunch of other stories that haven't had strong writing this whole time, and we're starting to see the effects of that are that Coronation Street isn't as riveting as it has been for a lot of the past year and a half. Audrey's been a big deal these past few weeks on the show, drinking too much, that she has an alcohol problem, but she's pushing everyone away that wants to get through to her. And then she ends up falling, not being able to get up because a motorcycle falls on her. Her son, Steven, ends up fighting her. I don't even know a lot about this guy, to be honest. I guess he was one of her long-lost children that didn't know her as a biological mother back in the day. So he's back, and of course Audrey is like clinging onto him while pushing Gail away. That's kind of what we're getting from that. But I like that they are giving Audrey and Gail a storyline again. These are two extremely classic Coronation Street characters to me. So I'm glad they're getting a storyline right now. But like a lot of the other stories going on, the writing isn't as strong as it has been over the past year and a half for Corrie. Unfortunately. Because y'all know I've been enjoying Coronation Street's writing immensely. But it's taken a turn to be not so good going into this summer. We have Tim and Sally. They're kind of just like comedy relief because of Tim's impotence. It's funny to me because when Bold and the Beautiful was playing Eric's impotence as kind of comedy and over-the-top soap, the American audience was like offended and thought it was in poor taste. And I thought it was entertaining. So now Coronation Street doing this, I'm glad that the British audience finds the storyline pretty funny. And they're doing a good job of writing it as comedy relief. So I think that's a difference between a British audience and an American audience, is that an American audience is more easily offended. But all in all, Coronation Street's writing has faltered. The big stories finally come to an end. I do think that we're going to get some good rebound with Toya, with a returning character coming sooner rather than later. I have no idea when that character actually returns. Anybody that knows spoilers probably knows this character is coming back. So that should be interesting for Toya in the future. But yeah, I hope they can strengthen more stories on this show. Either that or plan and plot out their next big umbrella storyline that's going to involve a good number of the cast and hopefully be as well-crafted, character-driven as the last one.